Welcome to Gamescom.
Fantastic. Gametrailers All Access.
The Secret World is a game set in the modern day real world, and for a while now we've been showing some really cool CG teasers with characters from that you actually get to meet in the game, fighting monsters they actually get to fight in the game, in locations that you actually get to see in the game. And everything we've done sort of in the past with our trailers, our ARGs, our marketing stuff, is stuff that ties into the mysteries of the game. There's one trailer we did called Everything is True, and that's sort of the basis of this game. It's a world where everything is true. Every myth, every urban legend, everything. Vampires, werewolves, demons, ancient gods, alligators in the sewers of New York. All of this is true in our game, and that's something that's been the foundation for this universe from the get-go. And players will go out there and fight the rising darkness and be a part of these myths and part of these conspiracies. They also get to join one of 3 secret societies, the Dragon, the Illuminati, or the Templars, and duke it out, fight against each other for control of ancient legendary relics all across the world. So in the Secret World we have something we call the Secret War. It's a war that's been going on between the 3 factions for a very long time. And that Secret War is both illustrated with the PvP, where players go into battlefields and war zones and try to sort of take important objectives, compete against the other factions, and get bonuses for everybody in their faction. But it also translates into PvE content, where players will be able to actually infiltrate the headquarters of your enemy, you know, sabotage it, hack into their computers, get information out. We're showing some live footage here at Gamescom that shows one of our ranking missions in the game, where players sort of gain rank with their faction, with their secret society. And in those ranking missions, you actually get to sort of play in scenarios that are reflected across all 3 secret societies. So as an Illuminati player, you go into this parking garage. It's a dark place filled with terrible creatures, and you see it from one perspective. A Templars player will get a similar mission in the same place that sees the story from a different perspective. So we have this sort of interplay between the stories intermingle, and when you learn about sort of the secret societies from different perspectives, and that's something that's sort of carried on throughout the game. We want players to really experience the story and the world from the perspective of their secret society. But also, you know, players will be able to communicate with the other secret societies, team up with them in PvE content outside the PvP stuff. So, you know, they'll also be able to share their perspective on what the story is and what's going on in the world. And that's going to create a really sort of active community that shares these secrets, these conspiracies with each other. The player's choice of secret society or faction is a choice made for life. It's the first choice you make in a game. You do it in character creation, and once you're done that, you're set. You're a Templars for life. Whether or not players will be able to create sort of different characters in different secret societies, something we're still discussing. Of course, we don't want players to sort of jump around. We want players to be loyal, and that's actually why we're spending a lot of time informing people and players about these secret societies. We have a test on the show floor. We have sort of websites that really explain in depth what the secret societies are all about, so that by the time the game launches in April next year, players will already be really invested in one secret society. You know, you'll find that the Illuminati players in the community, they're hardcore Illuminati, and the same with the Templars and Dragon players. They're never going to pick another character. They're always going to stay with that secret society, and that's something we really want to happen. We want that choice to be made before the game launches, and we want players to really stick with that choice. So we have 2 main modes of PvP. One is the battlefields. There's shorter matches. There's capture the flag. There's deathmatch, things like that. 10 versus 10 versus 10, or 5 versus 5 versus 5. Quick matches where the objectives are clearly lined out. And the players who complete that, and sort of, you know, the whole Stone Age, will be able to get some buffs and bonuses for the guys who are in those fights. And then we have our exciting new war zones that we're revealing at Gamescom. And those are persistent, large-scale, massive playfields with well over 100 players come together and try to hold these objectives. They try to sort of conquer these war zones. And since it's persistent, you know, it's going to be a changing landscape the whole time. You know, Dragon might hold it, you know, for a while, and then the Illuminati will come in, and maybe the Templars will try to help the Illuminati get the Dragon away so they can compete over it. And once a faction holds one of these objectives, that gives benefits and bonuses to everybody in that faction. So even if you're not part of the PvP, you'll feel that benefit, you'll get that bonus. And that makes you players root even more for their secret society and make it more sort of dedicated to their secret society. In the Secret World, we do not have levels and we don't have classes. And the reason for that is we're set in a modern day real world. You know, we're not born into roles as bakers or fletchers or warriors or hunters. We have freedom to make the choices we want to make at any given time. And that's key in this game as well. So players instead will have skills, we call them powers. And the more XP you gain, the more powers you can buy. And powers combine into decks. Decks are 7 active and 7 passive powers that will, you know, create a character that can handle unique situations. You might one day have a shotgun deck, you know, a shotgun weapon and 7 powers that tie into that, and that'll help you in one area of the game. And the next day you might decide to go with some elementalism and you know, mix that up a bit and maybe combine the 2 weapons. And progression in the game is basically both horizontal in adding more and more powers to your inventory so that you have more and more choices you can make and be more diversified. But it's also in terms of gear progression, you know, like weapons will give you added bonuses. We have something called chakras, magical implants that, you know, might give you better, more HP, or it might make you do more damage. So there's a lot of progression in your character's strength as well. And also you'll be able to rise in rank in your secret society. This is a content thing, it's a story thing where, you know, you start on the ground floor, you don't know a lot of the secrets, but as you gain XP and you do missions and you fight monsters and you explore, you'll be able to rise in rank in your secret society as well. And gain access to more content and learn more about your faction. Most MMORPGs these days either fall into the fantasy genre or the science fiction genre, and of course there's a lot of people who like those types of worlds. We are, you know, at Funcom we created Anarchy Online, a sci-fi game, and we created Age of Conan, which is a fantasy game, so we've done that as well. But I think people hunger for something that feels closer to home, and the idea of taking the real world and then exploring all these mysteries and all these legends and all these sort of interesting ideas that have always been with us. You know, the idea of vampires, for example, the idea of werewolves, or the hollow earth, or, you know, a city on the moon, or secret shadow governments controlling the world. That's something that's always intrigued me, and I think it intrigues everybody else. We see it in a lot of movies and TV shows and books and comic books, but we rarely see it in games, and I think it's about time somebody makes a game that takes everything, all of those myths and legends, you know, and the concept of everything is true, and creates an MMORPG, and here we are, The Secret World, coming to your screens April 2012.